Trinken wir es hier.
We got a bit of delay.
Kein Problem.
With what?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, Dad, don't worry about it. The stream is starting.
Seeing a lot of bikes out today.
It's because it's nice and sunny. Those are not.
The approved ones.
Oh, that was quick.
Mm-hmm.
I have to manually do it. Hey everyone.
Hello.
Whoa, this is not too loud.
It's a bit loud.
Is it loud for you, Danny?
It's loud for me as well.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
How about that?
Over boosting.
There we go.
It's better than no sound.
Better than no sound.
Better than no sound. Yeah. And
What are we, a bunch of
Us
morons?
morons. A bunch of
Oh,
retards.
yeah. It's like a clear sign of a retard.
Welcome everyone to the Flat Out Fever Formula One podcast, episode 108.
108.
I know, isn't that crazy? We're back here with Danny.
I'm back.
Danny's
I'm
back.
Wow.
Danny.
I've been living like an owl for 8 or 9 weeks now.
Danny, did you know that if you had missed this episode, it would have been the 5th episode in a row that you missed?
I know that. Yes, I do.
Or something like that.
Regardless, we're glad he's back.
How
and,
dare you.
and so should you guys.
How dare you have a life outside of this podcast?
I hated it though. I woke up today. I set my alarm 11 a.m. This is the earliest I've woken up. Maybe like 3 or 4 times I got up that early in the last month and a half. It's horrible. It's horrible.
It's all right though. Now we're
Sleeping
here.
through the day.
Now we're here.
We're here.
And we can catch up on all the shit that we haven't caught up with in a while. Because,
Too bad most of it's irrelevant now because
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much cool stuff happened that I didn't get to talk about.
yeah,
here.
and now it's all gone.
Yeah. Well, we got to talk about it, but
Yeah.
Not
Not
here.
Not with you guys. So let's get started.
Well, maybe we can get Danny's take on the season so far. 'cause
Yeah, hey, there we go.
That's
Yeah.
a
Come
good
on.
idea.
Yeah, start us up.
it's been good. It's been interesting. I like it. The Vettel #1 podium spot. That was pretty
Yeah.
fucking cool.
Yeah, that was
My
great.
2 favorite guys are gonna fight it out all year. I was just looking at the betting odds this morning. Vettel for this weekend right now is 11-8, and Hamilton's at 13-10, which is actually favoring Vettel
Wow.
by 0.075%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those Ferraris.
Yeah, Vettel's 1.375 to 1, Hamilton 1.3. Just a slight edge. But it's close, man. When it's that close, even the bookies don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah, it's close.
No insider trading here.
They want you to bet on Vettel, though.
Yeah.
Vettel's been saying that Hamilton is going to win all weekend, though, so far, since Wednesday.
Well, no,
Vettel's
what they've
been-
been saying is
They've been going back and forth, like Vettel and Hamilton. Hamilton's like, no, Ferrari's gonna win. Ferrari's way faster than us. And Vettel's like, no. Mercedes is always sandbagging. They're gonna come out on Sunday and kick our ass. And Hamilton's like, no, listen, Mercedes never sandbags. We don't do that. Vettel's gonna win this race. You better be sure of that.
Dude, I'd love it for Vettel. Okay, here I am conflicted because I want Vettel to win, but I do not want him to win a 5th championship
Why not?
because that's too many. That's too many. That's
Too many for one man.
Yeah, what are you doing having a 5th championship?
How much
would
mental space do you have?
Yeah.
I guess he can afford it.
They don't even get to take it home. That's one of
Oh,
the
yeah.
things that actually pisses off the drivers the most. The fact that if they win the world championship, they don't get a trophy.
Yeah, but
Is there
that's
no,
like a lot of
replica?
sports. Well, look at like the Stanley Cup
Yeah.
or like all the big sports. In the
get a
NFL, it's kind of
ring.
cool because you get a ring.
I think
NFL gives you a ring. Hockey, does hockey? I don't know.
So I think there's something.
There's got to be something. There's something.
But doesn't the Stanley Cup like the winning team gets to keep it for a year and then it passes
Yeah,
along?
they go to all the players.
All different sports
F1
are-
doesn't even do that.
All sports are different. I know, like for like boxing and fighting type sports, you get a belt,
Well,
right?
yeah,
and
you
then
get to keep it.
and then you just
until-
get to no, you just keep that belt. That's like yours.
Oh shit.
And I've heard like a lot of times like the you go into a press conference or something, and they're like, say like, do I need to bring my belt? And they're like, no, don't worry, we got another one for you. It's just a belt. Or they'll like donate it to their gym and they hang it up in their gym or whatever for boxing. So I don't know. Every sport has their own kind of thing.
Idiosyncrasy.
Yeah, I think it's the rings for the NHL is based on the teams more so than the league giving them that thing.
Oh, okay. So
and also,
just like
I believe I'm not sure if they still do this, but
they get a little replica, no?
Ring of the Stanley Cup gets replaced with all the players on the team. And if you go to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, they have a lot of the replaced rings of the Stanley Cup.
In hockey,
really,
like
really
the
cool.
Stanley Cup just keeps getting bigger, right?
That's the biggest it'll ever get, and I think it starts from the bottom up, so they start replacing it, so the top parts go to another place. I believe so. I might be wrong.
And often you are.
Yes, I am.
The way Formula 1 works is they just keep adding like a little shield to the trophy, right?
Yeah. So for the constructor.
Yeah.
And then there's no like drivers championship trophy. Correct me if I'm wrong, dear listeners, but there is no like.
I'm actually not 100% sure.
Yeah, like it's so the constructors championship trophy is the one that's like. It's a big cup, and it has like that swirly thing that keeps going up and up and up. Yeah. And then they just put like the badge of each team that won.
Yeah, and then like the bottom third or whatever right now is still blank for the next 30 years or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of want to look this up. Was it designed for like 100 championships or something in the beginning, or?
Well, I don't know actually.
I don't know, because there's only a certain amount of space, right? Maybe they'll add rings like the Stanley Cup.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Listen, enough about that. Let's go back to the season so far.
Yeah, it's
your take on it.
It's been awesome. Like that rivalry, it's great.
Absolutely.
And even Renault, they're promising big things in Spain when their new engine comes out.
Exactly.
To Red Bull and themselves. Look at themselves. Like last year, they were qualifying like between 15 and 20th. Now they're up in the top 10, like between 10 and 5 somewhere.
So you said that you watched the first part of the team principals conference today, right?
Yeah, I saw the first half.
The Renault guy was there.
Yeah,
and they basically asked him.
Renault Ferrari, the guy with the weird haircut from Ferrari.
Yeah.
And Hasegawa.
Yes. Hasegawa always getting fucking flamed in there.
Oh yeah, he was rubbing his head. He's like, like they asked him about if Honda's gonna be actually supplying another team next year, and he goes, it's kind of early. We're thinking about it. We hope so we can get more data to fix our engine.
The one thing that like really, I guess, okay, two things I guess from that conference, for that particular part of it. Oh, and I apologize to our audio listeners and everybody else. Like I'm recovering from a cold, so my nose is a little bit stuffy. And that's why it's so funny. But still, so the Renault guy, he basically said that they had a clear target, and their clear target was Red Bull. They say that like throughout the entire season, they're gonna be working to catch up to Red Bull, but they're realistic about it. They know that they don't have the people in place or the facilities in place, but the guy sounded really hopeful about 2018. He said this year we don't have it, but we are about, in terms of like physical actual stuff that you can touch, they have about 50% of it from what they forecast that they need to catch up to Red Bull. And when it comes to the people, he said they don't have it yet, but in 2018 they will. So basically what he's saying is that there's deals going on out there that we probably don't know, that won't come into effect until next year.
Oh, for sure.
That are going to be about people moving to Renault. And that is encouraging, because that means that Renault is actually thinking of a long-term plan as opposed to just...
People were doubtful last year, like outside the team, like media, etc. We were doubtful about what they were really doing, like coming back and like buying out Lotus and the facilities and reviving the car and all this. And the drivers, a lot of times you can kind of tell by their emotion if they're, towing the line or really serious about their career.
Yeah.
And, they both seem pretty confident that, this team is going somewhere. And
fucking Ocon, like, can't stop smiling. He's like, holy shit, this is so cool.
And They had, for their own sake, they have to beat Red Bull. Like, they're the works team, right? If Red Bull beats them with their own engine, I mean, they can't let them do that.
They can only get away with that excuse that they don't have the facilities ready for only so long. That's the thing, though. Like, right, if they're not beating Red Bull, they can't keep saying, "Oh, it's because we don't have the facilities," for more than 2 years.
That's a big thing that they talked about in the press conference this morning, though, is that they're really building up the Enstone facility, and who knows what that means?
And in France,
we're
too.
Not allowed inside.
Let's not forget that they actually do have a committed group of people in France working on the engine. A lot of people say that team should actually move to the UK, like Mercedes did, but Renault. I mean, all credit to them. It has worked. Their engine has taken a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So whatever they're doing in France, keep doing it. Like keep working with that team. Talk to your team at Enstone. Get the shit figured out. And I think Renault would be like, it's gonna be good if Renault is competing for, I wouldn't say wins next year, but let's say podiums.
Yeah, I'll read it before Sunday, but I just saw a headline this morning that the FIA numbers are kind of showing that the 3 top engines, outside Honda aside, that they're within about a third of a second of each other by raw performance. If you kind of try to peel away the aerodynamic numbers and stuff,
which is hard to do. You can't ever fully, but
it's really hard to do.
Yeah,
but they think that it's obvious on track that they're really close. But by the end of this season and going into next year is going to be fun. It's getting more and more fun to watch.
And this is kind of what we were expecting, right? Like, because we knew, and we had been talking about how the Mercedes were up here, right? Like, in the last couple of years, they were
the untouchables.
Right. But when you're at that level, that high up, there's only so much further up that you can go, right? Like, there is, actually, if you look, like, there is a theoretical limit to how much energy it could possibly be extracted out of octane. That's just a fact. You could make the calculation. This is math. There is a theoretical limit. So to reach that limit, like each step, like once you're getting closer, it gets harder. That's why, like, Mercedes may have started all the way up here,
right?
And now it's just the job of every other
manufacturer to catch up. Catching up.
Yeah.
Right.
And finally, it's happening. Finally, this is great. Today, and I actually like make a point not to show up to this podcast with any of my Ferrari gear because I think it's a bit overkill. But today I did.
It's not overkill, man.
But today I did because I'm actually like I'm a proud Ferrari fan today. In a track that they had said, well, no non-Mercedes driver has won the Russian Grand Prix. That's a thing. That's a statement.
What? Not yet.
Is that a real fact?
Yes, that's a fact.
Shit.
Yeah.
It's not the the race with the longest history.
Yeah. There's only been 3 of them, but
that doesn't mean anything, man. That doesn't mean.
Yeah, it's like in the press conference, like when they're asking people, like, oh, how do you think this season is gonna go so far? And they're like, man, there's only been 3 races. Like, how could you compare? But yeah, no, there's only been 3 races in Russia as well. But all 3 of them have been won by Mercedes. But it was said, especially like up until last year and how the regulations were last year, that it was a bit of a Mercedes track. Right. Because it's so long and it has such long straights and the turns are not like they're not like fast tight turns. They're like fast, long ass turns, especially that one.
A lot of them are, yeah. The very last sector has some tight ones. You slow down a bit, but not really though.
Yeah. So, but I think that again, just like we've seen, and Daddy, I'm sure, like, okay, we haven't talked about this with you, but I'm sure you've noticed that this year, because the cars are so different and just the way that they're approaching the lines and the braking is so different because they're faster and they just have so much more downforce.
More grip, yeah.
Yeah, the track may as well be a different track altogether. We don't know. And clearly this track so far is favoring the Ferrari. And honestly, I believe Lewis when he says the Mercedes, what could they possibly have to gain from sandbagging? They weren't sandbagging. They were actually trying. And what made me laugh the most is that halfway through practice 2, and granted that I was watching practice 2, I missed all of practice 1 because I woke up sick, and and practice 2 I only was kind of watching it on and off. But Crofty, he kept like from the beginning, or about like from like the first third of practice 2 and like towards the end, he was kind of being like, oh, maybe Mercedes is actually sandbagging. Like, how is it possible? Because how is it possible that two Friday practices in a row that are significant, like this Friday session is significant because the weather conditions are going to be similar to Sundays and to tomorrow's conditions. The weather's not going to change much, so this is actually going to be a true test and a true like showing of where are the cars stacking up, right? And you saw 2x2x2 the two Ferraris, the two actually pull up the where do they end up at the end of practice 2?
End of practice 2.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, 2 Ferraris, 2 Mercedes, 2 Red Bull. Beauty.
Except for Lance. Except for Lance Stroll.
Well, yeah, Lance is all the way at the fucking bottom. but 2x2x2.
Hell, man.
No,
that's not good for Lance.
No, that's really.
He did 36 laps too.
He did well in free practice, but I mean,
on the one,
on the
first one.
Go
maybe
back
he
to
had maybe they're making Lance Stroll that this is your first year. We know you're not gonna do well anyways. You're gonna be Massa's test guy for this season. He's got the whatever to push the car, the experience and the knowledge and the being an adult. But yeah, maybe, right? They use the two guys to help push each other. Felipe helping Lance with his whatever confidence and just learning the basics, and Lance just pushing the mechanical side and the engineering side for the team, work together that way in a circle.
Yeah,
it's what it seems like, and unless
right?
Lance sucks more than we were.
Well, he's obviously a talented driver, right? But I mean, we want to draw like these parallels between Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen,
right?
A lot.
That's inevitable.
But the thing is, like, the light was on Max when he got into Formula One.
More so than with Verstappen, even more so.
Right. So, but he was also on Toro Rosso, which is like, it's not the highlight, right? It's like he's on it, but
right.
it's not like he's on the Mercedes, he's on the Ferrari, he's on a big team, but it's like the side team, right?
Right.
And so he's got led into it a little more gracefully than I think Lance Stroll did.
And he had the pressure of his dad being a Formula One driver.
Verstappen did.
Yeah, whereas Lance Stroll's dad was
just a billionaire
selling jeans and stuff, right?
And the rat
jeans
lines.
And t-shirts.
Don't forget about the rat lines.
His dad was selling jeans and t-shirts in the 90s and made money, right?
Rat lines.
But I don't know if you can find this. It's on the front page of Reddit right now. Used power unit components.
Oh,
if you can pull this up quick.
Yeah, that is the only counter argument that I've heard about Ferrari, because they are.
That's what I was just. Yeah. So if you look at this chart, the bottom 6 cars are all powered by Mercedes.
Let me try to find. Oh, here. I'm gonna copy the link so you can pull it up.
It's on the front of the Reddit.
Show the good people.
So maybe Ferrari's strategy, because today, it's called Ferrari is on their third turbo.
Yeah.
In 4 races. Maybe their strategy is, they built as strong of an engine as they can manage right now. Yeah. And they're like, okay, we can make almost as much. There it is, right there. If you look at the bottom, Mercedes is making the power, and they have their reliability. The only real things that any of the Mercedes power teams have replaced right now is the batteries and the electronics in one car. In Bottas's car, the electronics went bad, and in the one Force India and one Williams, they had to replace the battery, which could be anything, right? Like everyone that has a cell phone in the last 10 years, you've had a bad battery at some point. Your battery lasted half a year, and just you have to get a new one. Like that just happens with lithium cells,
right? This does not apply to iPhone users.
But yeah, you can't irreplaceable. But if you look at the top, Honda, Renault, Ferrari, Honda, Ferrari, and then Renault's in the middle, and they're in the middle with the reliability and with power. But Ferrari, maybe their strategy is, they realized that we can really get as much power as Mercedes has been out of our engine, but the cost will be taking penalties every second or third race with replacing engine components. Yeah. But if we can push it and we can fight with the aerodynamics and increase it through the year, it might be worth all the penalties they get and they can still compete. You know, like they can push that car and get past all the mid and back markers during a race, even if you can qualify at the top, take your penalties, push your way back up, and get into the points still with that new Ferrari engine. And if you look, the two Sauber cars are 11th and 14th right now in terms of their reliability and replaced parts. The 2016 Ferrari engine is more reliable than the new one. It's more reliable than the new one. It's fairly clear and obvious, I think, to me.
Listen, Mercedes.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so the Mercedes team spent all of the whatever, how they started working on the new car since last year. So whatever the time that they were working on this year's car, they clearly, like, if you look at the car, they clearly spent it on working on a strong aero program, right?
Yeah, because their engine was already kick-ass.
And if anything that they had to do to their engine is make it more reliable, which they have done.
Yeah,
which they have done.
Yeah.
Ferrari,
they're probably, like you said, they're probably close to the theoretical limit of power that you can get from 1.6 liter displacement,
or as close as it's reasonably possible to be.
And 14 bar turbo, that's what you can get out of it.
Yeah.
Unless you're using super exotic materials, which you're not allowed, or whatever.
Which is bullshit, by the way. It should change.
Yeah, that should change.
Thank you.
Nice.
But okay, so and on the other hand, we have Ferrari, that they actually had to work their ass off to get a competent car for this year with a competent engine, which they have done.
Yeah.
But that came at a cost with reliability.
Yeah.
Now they're on the third turbo right now for both cars.
Yeah.
Right. So both cars, they've changed the turbo, but I actually don't think that this is that bad of a thing.
Well, when you compare to Honda.
Oh, yeah. But Mario Isola. So I like his name. Oh wait, no, actually he's from Pirelli. No, with Buddy from Ferrari in the first conference. Whatever, I forgot his name. But Buddy from Ferrari.
I remember his haircut.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
When Buddy from Ferrari was on the first conference, they asked him about it. Like, actually, our Michael Schmidt from Automotive Sport.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, so
Schmidt.
Like he called him out. He was like, you only have one more turbo to replace.
That's why
for
he's
both guys.
badass. Yeah.
You only have this. You know that you can't touch the other two turbos because that would be once you take them off the cars, you can only do things to them under safety grounds.
Yeah.
So he was like, all right, so come clean right now. Tell me, what are you what's your plan? and what he said was actually and it came across to me at least as very sincere. The guy from Ferrari said, listen, we have a strategy. I'm not gonna tell you what the strategy is, but what we're doing right now is still according to our strategy. He's like, we know where our weak points are, and we're working on it. And we know that this right now, this first half, he referred to this first half, or first third, or first part of the season, is gonna be crucial, strategically speaking, for us. Now, that to me told me something.
That means they paid the Kvyat Turbo,
the torpedo,
the Kvyat Torpedo, to wreck at least one of the Mercedes, just to wreck them.
Woo!
Oh my god.
No. What? No. What that tells me is that they're actually thinking about it a different way. They know that the power hungry circuits are now.
Mm-hmm.
The later part of the season, if you think about it, Singapore with tracks like Singapore and whatever else the season ends with, it always seems that was what Red Bull. Remember how that's how Red Bull used to play it all the time. They didn't do a big showing at the beginning of the year, and they always counted on their aero program to take him through the tight quarters of the second half of the season. Not including places like Spa or whatever, but Suzuka, the tight quarters where you need to be.
Suzuka's one of the faster ones, for sure.
Well,
Suzuka Spa, they're a bit later.
Yeah, they are a bit late, but either way.
But you're for the most part. Yeah, basically you're right.
Yeah,
they're all the tighter in the mid courses.
And that's how they used to play, right? Red Bull used to be strong aero package, and we're just gonna kill it the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Now I think that's part of what Ferrari is maybe counting on. They're saying we're gonna show our engine might in the tracks that matter, right? And I think that they will. Obviously, like there's penalties coming their way, and they'll play around with that. But I think that they're also counting heavily on the aero program to carry them through the second half of the season.
From last weekend, though, a lot of the big talk about Ferrari was how confident they seem in their aero program now because they brought 4 of that new wing that they hadn't even tested on track yet. They brought 4 of them. I guess it was tested like after Bahrain went into test. We haven't talked about that.
Yeah, so they can test it now. So they test it now as opposed to like later on in the year. They have data now. This is what I'm saying.
For people that don't know, after the Bahrain race was testing at Bahrain. But anyway,
this was the first of the in-season testing.
Yeah,
they weren't allowed to test a lot of stuff. I think it was a thing that Pirelli really pushed for, because they don't have any data on the new hard compound tires. They haven't been run at all, and they won't be run until Spain.
Not even until Spain?
Yeah, until Spain.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
I thought they might have had them at Canada.
No.
Huh.
No.
Yeah, I thought they might have used them in Canada.
Yeah. No, that's what Mario Isola. Now I got it right. Mario Isola from Pirelli. He was in the second conference of today.
Do you know Canada's going to be medium and soft? I just want to know because it's Canada. It must be, I guess.
Yeah, he did.
Must be.
Yeah, if we look it up, I'm sure that's what comes up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna see the hards until then. So Pirelli had me pushing for like the in-season testing. Well, I mean they always do. To them, like the more testing, the better.
I guess Canada doesn't have any super hard corners, so I guess hard tires might just last the whole race.
Yeah,
0-stop race.
Yeah, nobody likes that.
Yeah,
but that is something that actually Pirelli, the guy from Pirelli, Mario Isola, was even talking about today. He's like, somebody asked him, I forget who it was, but somebody asked him that something about a comment that Prost said. Prost said, "Listen, just let teams pick whatever tire they want out of the 5
out of the 5, yeah,
even down to the axle, like." Let them choose.
Because do you remember a few months ago, I was just going through some like old footage, just looking at like some historical stuff, checking it out, looking at F1, and there was one. I think it was in Hungary. One of the old drivers was talking about, this weekend we're running the hard on the front left tire because the circuit's really tough on that corner, and the other 4 sides we have the medium or the soft or whatever.
Yeah.
But they had one tire was a harder compound. One of the 4. Well, why not open it all up? There's no tire war. But the thing for Pirelli is, okay, then we have to bring like 7,000 tires per weekend.
I'm sure that's what he...
No exaggeration, it's a few thousand.
Yeah.
It's like 3,000 or 4,000
containers
tires.
And shipping and all that.
Yeah. It's
obviously
lot.
That's like...
That's a lot of tires.
That's what he meant to say with it. But what he said is that he was like, listen, let's say we showed up to Monaco with all 5 compounds. Nobody's gonna pick the hard one. He's like, nobody's gonna pick. Nobody will. So
unless because the rule is you must stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, then he said that he's like, oh well.
Is that an actual rule? You have to stop.
Well,
once?
no, you have to use 2 compounds.
2 compounds in the
so
race.
That
means you must stop. Yeah.
Okay. You start with one compound, you switch to another.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I see.
You have to use 2 in the race, right? Yeah. But yeah, that's true. But to get around. Like some of that, they could say, kind of like Pirelli does now. Before the race, they give like a 6 or 8 week window.
Yeah.
They haven't. We don't know what tires they're gonna use in like Abu Dhabi,
right?
Because it hasn't been announced yet. But they give like a 6 or 8 week window before each race, and the teams choose. Yeah, and then the teams choose, and then they get them ready and ship them. So they could do that even with the 5 tire window. They could still say, hey, all 5 are available. How many of each? You know what I mean? And you could even, there's so many ways you could do it. You could say like a set is two hards and 2 mediums, and that's 1 set we want. Because right now they get, I think it is 13 sets for the weekend. Unless it rains, you get the wets and the super wets or and the inters. But there's a lot of ways you could do it. But you could have the teams choose before you get there what tires you want.
What kind of tires?
And then you take the risk because you have previous years' data about like how rough the asphalt is, and you don't know about the temperature.
Right. I remember last year, because we were talking about tires, and I was always curious because there was like one or two races where like the tires just didn't degrade.
Yeah.
And I always found that kind of odd. Like, well, if they're the best tires, why don't you just use those the entire time? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have to stop. You got to stop at least once.
But you got to stop at least once.
You got to use 2 compounds. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, it's.
So are you have a tendency to lean towards like whatever tire you want, or do you like the idea of having a bit of
I don't know
selection?
It's interesting, like what Jay just said. Like it used to be that way, that you could put any tire you want on any corner of the car and drive it, right? But like I don't know, that's just if the rules were that way, I'd be into it. Sure, it's like whatever it is. It can't change halfway through the year or anything like that.
Well, I mean, they decided to change qualifying last year.
Well, there's not going to be any more of that.
That was
an F1. Jesus Christ! Thank goodness for that.
More thought out and proper decisions. But like you're saying though, it could go that way, but the way it is fine too.
Yeah.
But like no one's gonna just as you left there, I said like the hard at Monaco, like you could just have like the Pirelli does now, have the teams choose what tires they want 6 or 8 weeks in advance. The way Pirelli chooses what tires they want now 6 or 8 weeks in advance. Yeah. But and then
I think the current model is working just fine.
Yeah, I really like it actually. It's good. I like the number of sets. You have a certain amount of sets. They have extra sets for practice and say that you must be on track for this amount of time, and like which kind of makes sense. Or like you got to use these sets in this practice only, and it encourages the teams to get out. So you see the cars. Yeah, you get even as like fans, you see like the data, what different cars are doing on different tires, and have fun. Trying to guess what's gonna happen. It's all. I like the way it is now.
I think Formula 1 is one of those sports that's like there's just so many goddamn variables that you just one little thing might not change anything. Right?
Actually, I think that is a thing that like actually. It might be, if anything, one of the barriers of entry, if is aware into Formula 1
as a
fan, because especially if you're coming from a North American base, like team
hockey,
sports,
baseball, football.
Yeah, because there's so many dudes in each team, right? Like there's way more dudes in each team than there are F1 drivers.
So you're saying the dudes are the
like a baseball team has over 50 guys on it.
Yeah, like in football, you know how many dudes are in a football team?
Oh yeah, 60,
like
60
counting the benches and whatever. Yeah, so
you have like 3 lines of defense and offense.
Yeah, but my point is like so people and actually this is something that my girlfriend's brothers even have like said something like this to me, like, oh, like there's only like 20 people in Formula 1, like how could you possibly like stay entertained? It's because it's like like okay, yeah, the drivers are one thing, but the sport, all of it, just there's enough stats to throw around. Trust me. You can spend all day. You can spend at least once.
What are we doing here right now?
Exactly.
There's just enough variables right now. I think the way the tires work, the way qualifying ties into the race, like the second the Q2 drivers using those tires to start with, etc. It adds a lot of strategy. It's very interesting. I like it.
Yeah, no.
Going off of that Ferrari's third turbo though,
yes,
McLaren now is on their 5th MGUH and turbo for Van Dorn, and I think what is it on here? Alonso is on his 3rd and 2nd for most of it. But that's because he just parked his car and be like, I'm not driving this piece of shit, and just quit like last weekend. He just like,
I'm out.
He's like, this car sucks. I'm parking it. And somebody else finished the race.
That's sort of what they asked him during the press conference, the driver's press conference. They were basically like, so are you now just like stopping your car so you don't get a penalty? Like basically that's what they said. Yeah.
Some people are calling him arrogant, and some people are pissed he's going to do the Indy race. But
let's talk about that, because we haven't talked about that with you.
Yeah, just quickly, let me finish. Like Honda is not doing well in F1 right now. The thing is, they're doing okay in Indy, right? They're one of the 2 engine suppliers. You can choose the Honda or Chevy engine. Well, Alonso's going. I think Honda's banking on him getting a good result, driving the Honda engined car, etc. So he's driving for Andretti Racing, right? Yeah. Who used to be a big F1 dude as well. He's just being a...
Well, he's
if you say the word Andretti to that guy right there with the crazy bag walking down the street, I bet you he knows who that name is.
Right.
Like, some kind of racing guy? Yeah, everybody knows that name, right?
Well, in North America, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I think in Europe too, they know Andretti. He's got an Italian name. He drove in F1.
He was actually born in Italy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But I think Italians know who Mario Andretti is.
It's actually funny how much like throughout the years, the Italian diaspora seems to flock back to F1. Like Daniel Ricciardo, Paul Di Resta.
I remember when when Ricciardo first started, they asked him, is it Ricciardo? He's like, just call me Ricciardo. Whatever. Just call me Ricciardo, mate.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Kangaroos.
Yeah.
Wallabies.
It's funny because like ever since we started the podcast, we've always had like a soft spot for Honda, and they haven't been good since we started the podcast.
Yes, they haven't.
And like every year we're like, oh, they're gonna get
this
better.
year. This year.
This is the year because we want them to be good because you're Alonso fan.
I tell you a million times, I've owned 8 Honda cars, 8 Honda vehicles.
You're in it.
Yeah, I've been there. No, 7 of them.
Jesus.
Yeah, I have
you've committed.
5 Civics, a CRV, and an Accord. Yeah,
you got through the whole range.
I'm just gonna. I need to get one of those NSXs though. If anyone wants to give me one.
Why not? No, but guys, okay, so actually, hang on a second. I'll keep talking.
You're about to sneeze? Okay.
I think so. It went away. Oh, wait. It went away. So, we're talking about Honda. We're talking about this, but at one point, like before we like move out of this discussion, we're talking about like the tires and the haphazard decisions that like used to be made with stuff, and I said that listen, those days are over. When the FIA could just come and like make decisions willy nilly, because now part of it, you know what, man, I love Liberty. I love what they're doing. I'm fully on board with everything that they've come up with so far.
It's been pretty good.
Yeah, and
I like it.
The last thing, or one of the last things that they come up with, or like they've said that they're gonna implement, is that all the teams will be present at the F1 strategy group meetings.
Oh,
yeah. They won't all have a vote. The same.
That has to stand until the Concord Agreement is expired.
Correct. But all the teams get to seat. We'll get to sit down.
Listen, watch,
contribute,
observe, and can talk.
Yeah. So right,
and I'm sure if that's the case, then the teams that are powered by the teams who have votes will have a say. That's or somewhat of a say, right? Some kind of a say. Right?
How's our stream, by the way?
Good.
Okay.
Sweet. That's awesome.
So, because before or at least the past couple of years, the responsibility has been basically laid on Force India to stand and represent the smaller teams.
Yeah.
Right. And they, as much as they would have wanted to, they know that they are answerable. Force India is answerable to Mercedes.
Yeah.
Because where else are they going to get the engine that's allowed them to get to that 4th place?
They're going to be answerable today after Perez's engine cover flew off in practice, and they showed the whole world what
do we have a picture of that?
Mercedes engine looks like.
I had one.
Okay, well, whatever. Yeah,
find that for a second. But yeah, for sure though. And for those that don't know, we've been talking about it for like a year on and off. Is the European Commission investigation into the
Perez engine cover,
about the finances and the way that the FOM and the FIA have been distributing funds and it's kind of like dividing the teams in a way, like divide and conquer type of thing. Like,
but that was Bernie's. That was Bernie's strategy.
Putting the rich teams against the poor teams type of thing. But Vijay Mallya and Monisha Kaltenborn went up to the European Commission and asked them to investigate. And now, so that was dropped. The European Commission said, we didn't find any wrongdoing here. There's new owners now. It looks like this is getting turned around. There's no point of getting into a 2 or 3 year investigation into this whole thing. But now there's another investigation. I haven't looked super deep into it because I think it just started 2 or 3 days ago. But there was some sort of fishiness with a $5 million payment to the FIA, plus that 1% of the Formula One group that was given to them, which was deemed a conflict of interest. But now, I guess it's going to be looked at a lot more deeper as some sort of bribery or sort of control payment or buying influence by FOM under Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear anything I just said? No, you didn't.
Good question.
Okay, so what's happening with that? Like that's not gonna get investigated though now because
It
Bernie's
is
gone though. But like they can say that like listen, what's this whole thing? There's like a legal term like it almost has to, like it has to do with like the sins of our fathers kind of clause. It's like
because
whatever
this was by Delta Topco.
Yeah.
Who paid this bribe was Delta Topco.
Yeah.
And there's let's wait till we're done with this weekend's stuff to get into some side stories. But there's been a few apologies from Bernie already.
Oh yeah,
he's come out and being like, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. There's a few things I got a list here in a second.
But well, you gotta think that Bernie now, like after his days of F1, he's probably just sitting at home twiddling his thumbs, and like now he's probably
contemplating his past.
Yeah, now he's probably like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that.
You know what? I'd like to sit down with that guy and get a little high. Let's smoke it. Let's smoke half a joint, Bernie, and just talk about F1.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting. Get some reflection.
Yeah, some closure even. You know?
Yeah, I don't know about it. Might take him longer for closure, or if there's ever closure. Like he'll
How
always
much
be around.
longer
Like,
do you think he has?
Well, hey man, he seems healthy as shit, man. You ever see him go upstairs and stuff? He hops up them like I do, 2 at a time. He goes up. That guy's a healthy man.
Yeah.
Don't because I just assume like a lot of his like body parts are just actually just robot parts
or something.
Like just
I don't
machine.
know, man. It's hard to tell. Like
engine in there.
He's short. He's a skinny guy. He seems frail and everything, but I don't think he is. Like he speaks 100% eloquent. His memory is impeccable. He's one of the strongest businessmen.
No.
He's
apparently,
rich as fuck.
Apparently, like his memory only works when it's convenient for him.
Oh, okay. So that's even better than a standard memory. That's business memory.
It's like I got shit to do memory.
Yeah. He's got that squinty eye. It's kind of scary. That guy is a good businessman. He was and is.
All right. Okay. So clearly we have like a bunch more stories about like off weekend stuff. So let's go. So Russian Grand Prix. I think Ferrari is gonna be in it to win it, and they actually have like a real chance. The only thing that Mercedes might still like turn up the engine to 11 or whatever, and really
maybe they'll risk blowing one if they know Ferrari's like two turbos down on them now. They're like, hey, we can afford to take two penalties if it happens and still compete in the season
for qualifying.
Qualifying. If it blows, it blows, and you just run that turbo up to 50,000 RPM screaming. And like I said, Vettel is the betting favorite by 3/4 of a tenth.
You know who's my favorite for qualifying though?
What's that? Who's
Bottas.
that? Bottas.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
You think he's gonna do it again?
Yeah. No. There's something to it. There's a lot of Finnish fans that actually travel to Russia.
So we're talking about fan power will make him better.
It does, man. It fucking makes you like drive the shit.
I mean, we're talking about like.
But not only that.
Nano dick seconds.
Not only that, but also like the fact that he's gonna come pumped from actually getting a pole last in Bahrain as well.
Bahrain,
yeah.
The okay, I forget. Did you see or you didn't see the first driver's press conference? You didn't see it, right? Or not the full thing?
Oh, I did see it, but like I was like in and out
concentrating. Yeah, so. They had the two Finns sitting beside each other. Bottas and Kimi were sitting beside each other. I thought it was interesting because both of them, in sort of different tones or different wordings, were asked, like, what do you think? Like, basically, they were asked, each of them, are you the number 2 driver already?
Oh, yeah.
Basically, but in more journalistic inquiry there. But both of them... Raikkonen he kind of seems like he might retire this year.
Oh yeah,
because one of the guys asked him about his
businesses.
what businesses he owns, if it's true, because I guess he's kept it a very good secret. Somewhere in Finland, he owns a karaoke bar.
Yes, he
opened
up a karaoke bar.
How good of a singer he is.
No, he's like, I sing, not well, but I sing.
But he said, it's more about fun than how good of a singer you're trying to be. Yeah. But he said, obviously I do things besides racing, but he said, I don't really like to talk about them here. But it was actually, if you go back and check it, or even those few seconds, one of the most open I've ever seen him, and all he was doing really was saying about how he didn't want to talk about himself.
Yeah,
that was the most open I've ever seen him.
Yeah,
but he goes, the season's still early. There's a chance for me to prove myself, because he was the one he's cursing on the radio and this car I can't get past. He was like in 4th and 5th in the last races.
They designed the car for Vettel.
Yeah, basically. And then the same question was asked to Bottas. And he kind of like took a deep breath, very contemplative, and slowly speaking his careful words.
With the Bottas, like, one of the things that they asked him was basically like, "Are you gonna let Lewis through again if they ask you? What do you think about team orders?"
Right, exactly. Yeah. So Bottas, he very carefully said, sorry, I hit the mic. As a team, we sort of contemplate these things, and sometimes there's problems, but I feel like I qualified on the pole, and there will be some team fighting between me and Lewis, whoever's the fastest, obviously, but at the same time we have to work on the team and maximizing the points so that we both score. We can't take each other out or compromise each other's race behind one of the Ferraris or the Red Bulls or anyone else that might be competing with us this weekend. And he went on for like 3 or 4 minutes trying to, if you really look in his eyes, he's trying to justify to himself that, I'm a good driver. I'm a really good driver. I could beat Lewis. They might let me win 1 or 2. Like maybe I could be a champion. And both of them seem like that. When Lewis was asked this, and it was a little clip from Ted's notebook. It was like a kind of an open interview, but with Lewis only, not part of the official FIA interviews.
Yeah.
Lewis said, there will be team orders this season under special circumstances. So they both sort of have a different. And they also asked Bottas in the press conference, how was their relationship? And he half dodged the question. And they asked him basically like, do you guys like text each other? Are you going out? Are you having lunches? Like, you guys talk outside of the weekends? And
Bottas was like, no.
He said, to him, it was a typical teammate relationship that, he's my teammate. We're trying to share data.
Yeah. He said it was no different than like with Felipe back last year.
Yeah, he said we respect each other. We see on the weekends. We see each other in meetings and stuff. But see, that's where I thought it was interesting. He said to him, it was a typical teammate relationship, but he's very introverted compared to basically anyone I know on Earth. Like, out of like 100 people I could name that I know as like an acquaintance, that he's way more introverted than any of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, so that might be typical for him. Whereas Lewis, even though him and Nico last year didn't have a good relationship, but like some of the other teammates must hang out or like, have lunch or talk about the team or whatever. Some of them must.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine though, a lot of them. It's still a competition, but there's always a number 1 and a number 2. There's another thing I want to talk about. The number 1 and number 2 is all you motherfuckers who couldn't tell the difference between yellow and black. This is what I've been talking about this, complaining for years. There's the number 1 with the black camera T, and there's a number 2 with the yellow camera T, and that's how you tell the drivers apart.
But Mercedes doesn't have number 1s.
They don't have number 2s, and there's a bunch of soft-ass people who don't want to admit, like, oh, my favorite driver's a number 2. He has a yellow T on top of his car, and they want to just like compare the helmets. Like, I couldn't see which helmet he had with my binoculars. With their like spotting guide of 20 different helmets this big. Like the size of a nickel on a printed piece of paper.
Let's just mention it right now, because I'm sure there is just some people that, even though they've been fans of the sport for years, they don't know about it. And one thing that surprised me is,
the camera tees?
Remember when we had, you don't remember because you weren't here, but remember when we had that girl, Saskia Stewart from the Grid Girls?
Yeah.
She's a host of another F1 podcast.
Yeah.
and she had no idea what I was talking about when I said about the T's.
Oh, I wish I was here. Okay, so those T's are how you tell the cars apart. The camera T's.
You look it up, like just look up. Oh no,
there's two right there.
Even there. Just zoom in on that or something.
I will.
So everyone wants to like use binoculars, and I couldn't tell how the helmets apart, and both the Force Indians have pink helmets now. I can't even tell who's who. Like, okay, one has a yellow T, one has a black T.
I hate this fucking Mac.
And so now, as of this weekend, apparently the FIA has deemed that
for next week,
or for next week,
for the next race.
The next race, each car must have a 15 centimeter tall letters of the driver's name and number.
Minimum 15 centimeters for the number. Or no, minimum 50 centimeters height for the letters,
the letter height,
and then 25 for the number.
Okay.
Like, so it has to be visible.
Imagine some of the guys like Van Doorn with it's gonna be like the whole length of the car, man.
That's what Ted was making fun of. He was what are you gonna do with like a guy like Magnussen?
Yeah,
he was talking to Ocon all the time. And, like he's like Ocon, you're fine because you're only 4 letters. But what are they gonna do with a guy like Magnussen?
Maybe he can get an exception for K-Mag.
No, they're saying that what the teams
just
will
use
most likely
letters.
Is the 3-letter code that each driver has.
Oh, that could be okay. Yeah. But the T's have been there for a long time.
But it's because
almost 20 years.
It's because
20 years.
But it's a thing that they could make a big point of that during the race. They could or in the intro to each race. You know, the F1 could like make more of a point to point that out than the fact that there are 2 different T wings. Actually, look up F1 Spotter's Guide. Spotter's Guide 2017.
Sorry. I must evacuate my bowels.
One of those images will show you. So yeah, like if it's a comprehensive Spotter's Guide, it will tell you who's wearing which T. And that's 2013 though. Either way, like this whole argument with the T's and however like we want to identify drivers, like we know it's tough, but it's gonna get better, and this is part of the whole plan.
It's the learning process.
It's part of the whole plan with Liberty. Liberty has whatever. Don't worry about that. People know what we're talking about. So the T, we're talking about the camera mount that goes on top of the airbox.
Above the airbox, right?
The
number 1 is black. The number 2 is green.
The number 1 is black. The number 2 is green. So for example, last year, Nico Rosberg, the guy that won the championship, he actually finished the championship with the yellow T, and that's what Daddy was saying. Some people are pissed because if you put it out there, if you admit that the number 2 driver gets the yellow T, then that's admitting that there is such a thing as a number 2 driver. Anyway, moving on from that topic, I actually want to talk about something that's very, very interesting that came up recently, and it has to do with. It's basically Ross Brawn's initiative, and well, not him himself. I'm sure he's been listening to a lot of people. He's been talking to a lot of smart people and know what they're talking about. But it's in the show book. Actually, I want to do a shout out to this. The first link.
This one.
Yeah. Actually, you have it there already. It's like the second or third tab.
Let me just find it here.
Yeah, it's like
the camera's in the way.
So. If F1 had a single make support race driven by F1 drivers, this is straight up from Reddit, from the F1 subreddit. And if you are an F1 fan and you haven't made your way to the F1 subreddit, go do it now because they have, some fantastic content there. But anyway, this is something that came up as a result of there was a Drive Tribe article, but also Ross Brawn has been talking about this for a while, that maybe there needs to be a bit of a shakeup to the weekend.
I see that.
Yeah, to how the weekend works, right?
That would be fucking cool.
Right? And so they were saying like, oh, why don't we introduce like a second race on the Saturday, like some sort of a sprint race, or Friday even, just to make it more of a motivation for fans to get out. That's what they want. That's what they're saying, that, oh, well, why is the main race like on Sunday and nothing else happens on Friday, Saturday that counts for points. That's what people think, because people think that if something doesn't count for points, then why would people show up?
Even under Bernie, the last half decade, people have been calling on and off for qualifying points.
Right. Yes, it's true.
yeah.
And like, and actually, for a part of that period, Bernie was the one proposing the points for qualifying. Regardless of that, this is actually an idea that I would get behind 100%. So this is what they're saying. They're saying, this is a shout out to TWVER, the Reddit user, and it's okay. Let's have a support race where all of the F1 drivers participate in, same make of car. They're all in the same car. So really, like, it just because we
I already love it.
We often talk about like, oh, who's the best driver,
Yeah.
and then like we can all like sit down and speculate and like come up with like, oh, maybe Max Verstappen is the best driver, but we just haven't seen him win a championship or whatever. Like, right, like these are the conversations that people have. So to make it even more interesting and more of a sense for fans, but without taking away, because this is the counter argument that some people had. They said, listen, if we have a sprint race on Saturday and then the Grand Prix on Sunday, then what the hell? Like, the Grand Prix should be the race.
Right.
The race. With this solution, I think it would satisfy both camps, because the Grand Prix would still be the race, but what they're basically talking about is introducing 4 races. And actually, I think that like somebody in the comments came up with that. Like, yeah, like this one, the first comment with 100 points, says yes. So we do
100 FIA points.
So no. We do
FIA bucks.
4
Where can I
races
spend those?
throughout the year that don't count for shit at all, other than like prestige or whatever. Each one is hosted by the 4 engine manufacturers at like some sort of version of like their home race. So yeah, so for example, so Honda would host a race with all like Honda Civics or something
At Suzuka.
Yeah. Monaco would
like
be
that
for Renault, Hockenheim for Mercedes, and Monza for Ferrari.
Wow.
Which they could come up and in the bigger umbrella of Ferrari, for example, they could come and give all the F1 drivers Alfa Romeo Julius. Right?
That makes a lot of sense too, actually, because
it makes commercial sense too, because the cars will get, like the Julius, for example, in that case, will get tons of exposure, which is what they want.
what you were just saying there. At first, I was like, that's a cool idea, but like honestly, I wouldn't. As big as an F1 fan I am, I wouldn't watch 20 of them. But yeah, if there's one per manufacturer per year,
yeah,
I would watch all of them.
Yeah,
for sure.
All 4, right? Yeah.
I don't know if you guys. Well, obviously those 4.
And if
Cars.
And if a 5th engine manufacturer comes to F1, bring him, come up, then come up with a new location, come up with a new race.
All 4 of those cars on that list are badass cars too.
Yeah.
Like that Honda Civic, do you see it broke records at the Nürburgring?
No.
For a manufacturer of its
No,
for its class, broke a record last week. The new Civic Type R.
Yeah, but this is something that actually makes sense.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
From a commercial point of view, the 4 engine manufacturers will have they'll have even more of a reason. Mercedes, you know how this year's, and we haven't even called it that. So you know how like this year's car is called the Mercedes W08 EQ Power Plus. That's the full technical name of the car, or the full official name of the car.
Yeah.
Nobody calls it that. Everybody calls it W8 or whatever. But Mercedes is trying to push that because they're trying to get some commercial gain from like their engine technology.
EQ power to put into their street vehicles.
They could have them all race in Hockenheim with EQ power, like with an electric car, and then it would even satisfy that other portion of like the appeal to F1, like the promotion of the electric vehicles. And the next, come on, man, this actually is probably the best solution that I've seen to that problem. How do you it would make at least those 4 weekends way more exciting for the fans that go to it. It would become an attraction, like a different attraction for the fans to go. So if they're trying to like pull more fans to Hockenheim, I know that more people would go to Hockenheim if they got to see this.
I don't think you can't have F1 points for this.
No points, just
all
for fun, just
all
for
fun.
prestige. Yeah.
That's awesome.
This would be so basically what the idea is, just to reiterate,
Everyone in the same car too.
in the same car,
Yeah.
4 times a year.
Yeah, that's cool.
Once per manufacturer. Each engine manufacturer gets to pick the car that they're all in, and then it's just everybody for everybody. And I think that kind of racing would actually show us really where the pecking order is, and then we'd see Alonso win everything.
I like the idea at the bottom too, that you have them street legal cars, like not what maybe you'd have to put a roll cage in them for FIA, I don't know, but you have them
for not death.
Yeah. But yeah, to auction them off afterwards.
Yeah, for charity.
Make that for charity.
Yeah.
And then have everyone in the same car.
It's cool. So good because the first comment go down to like the first comment. The last line of the first comment is, "Come on, Ross, make it happen."
Yeah,
it's true. Ross Braun, we're giving you the ideas. You don't even have to think anymore. The internet is there for that now.
I'm not crazy on this idea.
What?
Yeah.
Come on.
Nah, I just think
I'd be down.
I want to see fast cars going fast, worth points. That's what I want to see.
So you're more of a purist. Look at you, Mike. Remember 2 years ago when you didn't know anything or cared anything about racing?
I drive a Toyota RAV4 from 2006. Okay.
You know what though? Like a Civic Type R with a B16 engine with like an open exhaust, it's probably even louder than a F1 car.
Oh well,
I think
do you remember
many things. Like remember those stupid minis that we saw drive around? Those were louder.
Do you remember the Honda Civic that I had with no exhaust? How loud it was?
Yeah,
it was setting off car alarms and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. The last non-fun story that I have for this week is about the Haas with their braking issues. So it seems like for this weekend they will be testing out Carbon Industry.
That's purely because of Romain Grosjean.
Probably.
Romain Grosjean. He has a handshake with the Carbon Industry people because they're French and he's French.
Carbon Industry.
Like, oh, how could you're not gonna use Italian brakes? You gotta use French brakes.
In the press conference there, he said that he needs his left foot needs to be as confident as his right. That he needs.
Yeah, he said something like that.
But at the same time, there was definitely a problem. He had his brakes exploded on the Haas 2 or 3 times last year, right? 2 at least. The ones in Malaysia on the hairpin, I remember, and at least one other time, and the other car blew up at least once. The brakes, where the discs just shattered.
Yeah,
that happened a few times.
But that was last year. Remember, because there was a shortage.
That was a
carbon
problem of carbon fiber.
Yeah,
because of Airbus.
Because of fucking Airbus.
Building too many A380s and A320s.
This is a real thing. We're not shitting you. If you haven't heard this podcast before, if you don't know about this story, this is true. Last year, the Brembo brakes were like almost deliberately like shittier than all the other brakes because Brembo didn't get their contract with like the major suppliers of carbon fiber in the world,
right.
And by the time that they got around, by the time that they got around to it, Airbus just took all the supply because they were building too many A380s.
Yeah, there will be for the next 15 years.
A single A380 takes up more carbon fiber
than the whole F1 grid for years upon years.
Than the entire, you know how like they make bicycle frames? We talk about this. They make bicycle frames out of carbon fiber. All the bicycle frames in the world, one day A380 takes up more than them.
Yeah, the wingspan is like 300 meters.
And carbon
200 meters or something. 300 feet.
Carbon fiber has to be machined by hand too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
That's
all
insane.
hand done.
Well,
giant autoclave.
Yeah. Is that like the last thing that you have, like a serious thing?
Yeah, here's a little bit of fun because you were saying about we were talking about the Ferrari versus the Renault versus the Honda engine, and like especially Enstone, they're building up their factory, but obviously nobody's seen what they're doing or how many people are there, what they're really doing, what type of machinery they've.
Honda's apparently also like working on some sort of UK facility near Milwaukee.
Oh, so they're not quitting anytime soon. No. That's good to know. So anyway, for those in Europe, I didn't actually write down the whole list. They say anyone can enter. Williams is holding a contest to have a 2-person sleepover at the.
I saw this
Not exactly
headline.
in the.
I didn't read it, but I saw this headline. What's going on? What's up with this?
It's not in their factory, but it's in their storage garage where they keep all the historical Williams for for display, like their museum. You can sleep the night there as a contest. They say anyone in the world can enter, but you must be a citizen of the UK, Belgium. Well, there's about 8 or 10 countries where you can actually enter from, or you can actually win from, but you can enter from anywhere. We can't win, otherwise I would have tried. But you can sleep in their factory. That's kind of cool.
With the cars.
With all the cars.
Another cool thing that I've heard bouncing back and forth is about the revival. This is like basically since Liberty came back, like everybody's like, okay, well, Liberty's back. Are we gonna have a race in New York? Yes or no? And now they're saying, Mike, they flipped it around. They said, race in New York. How about a night race?
How about a nighttime? Port Imperial, son. Yeah. Do you remember like 2 years ago when we first started this podcast? Yeah. This idea was still alive in 2014, 2015. Yeah. And we did like the Google Earth Street View, and we went like corner by corner and we drove down.
Was it the New Jersey one though?
New Jersey, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the New York circuit. That's actually.
Oh, I see. Okay.
In the state of New Jersey, it's in a town or a small city called Weehawken, right?
Whatever.
And I don't know if you remember, it's called the Port Imperial Street Circuit. Anyone can look it up online and see the layout that they had at the time. And we drove around it on the Google Street View.
Well, the idea is that like
cool
the idea is that like you would get some crazy camera angles where you could show the entire like skyline of New York
directly across the Hudson.
Because if you have a race up and down Fifth Avenue, you're not gonna see anything because everything's covered by the buildings. Yeah. But where you actually get to see the skyline of New York is from outside New York, right? So
that would be fucking cool.
The circuit basically runs like mid to downtown Manhattan, and it was on 2 levels. I would absolutely encourage anyone to just, while you're listening or when you're done, check out the Port Imperial Street Circuit and pull it up. It basically went around.
Actually, we can do it right now. Port Imperial Drive or whatever, like Google Street View.
There's basically a street called River Avenue or River Street that goes on the bottom, like right at the sea level.
Port Imperial Circuit.
And then the track sort of goes uphill, and it's kind of on a cliff. The second half of the circuit is up on a hill, kind of overlooking Manhattan and the river, and then comes back down on the far end.
I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube.
You can find it, and it's kind of similar to Monaco in that it's part at the sea level and part on the up high level.
So look it up there. Here, so
there was a man.
Here's the map of what the proposed layout. This thing was gonna happen at one point.
From turn 4 to turn 14, there is way up on the hill, and the rest is down at the bottom. That's the Hudson River.
Yeah, and right across the Hudson, you see basically downtown New York, like downtown Manhattan.
So this was first proposed in 2011. Way back in 2011, there was a man named Leo Hindry Jr., who is a magillionaire, and he had proposed to sponsor and pay for this race, more or less, with the support of the Weehawken City Council, New York State, and New York City, and the mayor of Western New York, which is another town, I guess, across the Hudson.
See if you can find it on YouTube, like the actual. Go on YouTube and like just look for Port Imperial Circuit.
Yeah. So that man had committed to pay $100 million towards this race, mostly to Bernie, I would say. So at the end of the day, though, in 2011, this was proposed. It was supposed to happen in 2013 or 14. It didn't.
And it apparently was this close.
It was so close, and they tried again in 15. At the end of the day,
they even cleared out some land for the pit facilities, even.
Yes, there was that. That's how far it went. And at the end of the day, basically, Mr. Leo Hindry couldn't come up with the $100 million cash.
Yeah,
but
actually, put this up, just no sound.
Yeah,
dude. I don't know what I was even saying.
It put up so much money, this dude.
He had proposed to put up $100 million, but he couldn't get the cash together at the end of the day. And Bernie said that they had reneged at the end of this whole thing, that they had reneged on it which they really hadn't. But
Bernie just asked for more money at the last minute.
You can see from this video when they proposed this, there wasn't even HD yet. There was no HD in this camera. They're driving the wrong, or police, I guess. They were driving just there the wrong way down a one-way street to show off what the circuit looks like. But here's something interesting though. So the chair of Liberty Media is John Malone.
Yes.
AKA Darth Malone.
Yes.
And so a few years ago, at the time that
he actually has been called the Darth Vader of the cable industry.
Yes, he has. At the time that this race was proposed on this circuit in this neighborhood, Darth Malone was the chairman and CEO of a company called TCI Communication, which was a huge communication company which bought out Time Warner Cable a few years ago for $89 billion. At the same time, Leo Hendry Jr., who had proposed to pay for this race himself, that he wanted to pay for this race. He's a big racing fan and an amateur racer.
Yeah.
He was the president of TCI Communications. So the two of them were very good buddies. So this race almost happened actually 2 times. Both times fell through. But now, and see here, look, they had built a digital recreation of this track to simulate how the cars, the forces, the real circuit would work.
Oh man, it was real. Look at that, like with the skyline, and at some points it was meant to be like tight too, like with like tight barriers around it.
Yeah, they were kind of very
this
similar
circuit was
to
supposed
US
to be.
Monaco.
We were so excited about this circuit. We were like, man, we gotta go.
This is built not for fun, not to show anything off. This is built to calculate the physics of how this circuit would actually work and run. So now it's 7 years later.
Yes.
And this has come up again, that perhaps Liberty is looking to hold this race, perhaps the same circuit, perhaps. So yesterday and today there was 2 big articles from NewJersey.com, the state website.
Yeah.
Apparently the Weehawken mayor has not been approached or heard of this proposal that it might be happening next year. And okay, so the FOM, I believe, has said that this could happen next year, but because of the scheduling, so this will be the last year of the Singapore Grand Prix, the Malaysian Grand Prix,
right,
at Sepang.
Also,
instead of, they want to keep it to 21 races or less, and next year there's another race that's falling out. Do you remember which one? I don't.
No,
it's going to be replaced by the French Grand Prix, and then after that, apparently this will be coming in. It's got to be between this and Las Vegas.
Right. I wouldn't want to see a race in Las Vegas, if I'm honest. I don't care for it.
I'd rather see this. And this circuit is badass. The layout of this I like. But so what the mayor said today though is that since 7 years ago, when I don't know if it was the same. I don't think it was the same mayor, but whoever's the mayor now must have been on city council. You don't just become the mayor, right?
Yeah.
So he knew about this then 7 years ago.
And now he's claiming he doesn't know.
He hasn't heard about the revival of this.
Oh, okay.
He said it would be great for the state, obviously, and the mayor of Western New York said the same thing. Obviously, it'd be great for the area. We hope this happens, etc. But in the last 7 years, there's been a lot of development in that area. A lot of buildings have been built, etc. And it might have to be rearranged, or it might not happen. But the final big thing for this is that, rubbing my hands together here.
Yeah.
The man who said twice he could come up with $100 million and didn't, he might not even be in the picture, and that Liberty itself might have proposed to pay for this.
Yes.
That's how badly they want it.
Of course.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No, because they're looking at it from an investment point of view, man. And for them it would be a huge investment and a huge. You gotta think that F1 as a business, like FOM, has been run on a very, very, very short timeline. Like all they cared about before was the next quarter. Like what's gonna happen in 4 months from now, or 3 months.
I like this.
3 months. No, seriously, 3 months. Like that's how far their thinking got from their brain. This far. That's it. Like just past their nose. Now, Liberty, the only thing that they're introducing different than that wasn't done before is long-term thinking, long-term growth, long-term sustainability. And to achieve long-term growth and long-term sustainability, you do have to have like more than just Monaco. Seriously, like, for a big amount of fans, like Actually,
and who's going to be watching Monaco this year with Alonso at the Indy 500? I'm going to be watching both. What? I'm sure they don't happen at the exact same time.
well, also the 500 is like 4 hours or whatever.
But you're not going to watch it though. Look at you.
No,
You're wearing this shirt.
I'm gonna watch it.
We're going to watch it.
I'm an Alonso fan.
We're going to watch it.
Yeah.
But even if they happened at the exact same time, I'd be watching Monaco.
Yes.
And then I watch the Indy 500 afterwards.
Yeah.
But going off of this, though, this other article came out today with an interview with a man named Datuk Razlan.
Okay.
So he.
Oh, is that the guy that said that Bernie made him look like an idiot?
Yeah. He made them all look like idiots. So
okay, expand.
So we interviewed on this podcast a few months ago. Do you remember?
Dromo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Dromo Circuit Design.
But owned by a certain Yardo Safeli. Hey, Yardo.
What's up? Yeah, so Dromo Circuit Design redesigned the Sepang circuit with... It's kind of weird. The way when we talked to him and the articles with the circuit owners, etc., they kind of were pushing that this circuit has been sort of redesigned and specialized more for motorcycle racing, which is they do have a much bigger turnout and audience for the MotoGP race at that circuit than F1, and that's what they're pushing for the future, and more lower series races. They can make more money than hosting one F1 race a year. And he said, that race happened for 19 years now. It started in 2009 was the first race.
It was Tilke's first full F1 circuit.
Yeah, that was Tilke's first one, and one of Dromo's first big ones as well now.
As a redesign, yeah.
As a redesign, yeah. And they averaged, I believe, $67.6 million per year, which was majorly covered by the local government to pay for that race. And basically they're pissed off now because they tried every year to renegotiate, and Bernie basically said no. You guys
ask for more money. That's what he said. He just asked for more money.
Bernie just asked for more money and not offering more of any incentive. Look at, we talked about this a lot. Then this is what we're going to see a lot more of, is turning these races into spectacles. It started with the USGP last year. They themselves paid extra to hire Taylor Swift, but at the same time, they either broke even or made more money than they ever would have, because people are like, hey, Taylor Swift's playing, let's go check her out, and we might as well watch the race while we're there. That's cool. You know what I mean? And they just spent the weekend there.
But what's different is that was done under Bernie still.
Yeah.
But now, Liberty has absolutely no problem in investing into something like a Weehawken race, because they know that more F1 fans is only going to be good for the sport in the long term.
We already knew 6 to 12 months ago that the Sepang race was going to be ending. They didn't renew their contract. It won't be happening anymore for F1.
But now we know why.
But yeah, now Bernie has come forward and said he remorsefully said this week or last week that I charged plus way more than I should have for what we provide to these circuits, and I way overcharged them, and admitted it. And that's what you're just saying. This Datuk Razlan is the man who's in charge of the circuit and promotions at Sepang, and he said, Bernie basically made us look like idiots now for saying that publicly. We wanted to host this race. We did the best we could. We tried to promote it. We tried to push it, make it as big as an event as we could. But it just
even privately now. I think that we could talk about this now. But we were trying to get a hold of this was months ago, of somebody from the people that put together the Canadian Grand Prix of Octane, and one of the conversations that we had with this dude was, listen, F1 as a sport is a very rich sport, lots of money. The Canadian Grand Prix as a race, he's like you wouldn't believe the budget that we're given to work with, because Bernie takes the rest. That's the thing. That's how it used to be. you were dealing with a global sport with lots and lots of money, and lots of glitz and lots of glamour. But when it came to the people that actually put the races together, they got the shit end of the stick.
So this is what we talked about this when we were there last season at the circuit, at the race, on the race weekend. That like look at this, like that was our 5th or 6th one that we went to, and it's a big event. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of vendors. There's a lot of booths, things to see and whatever. But when the news really came out, like after it was sold, and what the circuits kind of get for their value, and whether or not the Canadian race would continue because they hadn't started building the medical facility, rebuilding the pits and stuff, especially. That opened my eyes, and it made me like really look around. And you and I, like we were standing outside of the medical facility.
They just had trailers.
It was 2 trailers, like what you would go camping like on a cross country trip or something. You'd hook this trailer up to your car and sleep in it. That's what they had, with just like people, just a trailer, nothing. That's not a medical facility.
Yeah, no, it was just like a little trailer. Like it could have been repurposed to be washrooms.
Yeah, it could have just could have been portable washrooms. Yeah.
So
we gotta wrap up soon.
Yeah, we gotta. Okay, but before we wrap up, I just want to like go back. We haven't even touched on like any of the comments from the chat yet. I just want to touch on one that I just saw. And it's basically like, but then F1 will go against NASCAR in the US, and people won't go for 2 big motorsports events, especially when NASCAR as a fan is so much more accessible and fun in the States. Listen,
it's fun. It's funner right now.
No, it's not, and that is not what they're going for.
Let's not say that, because we haven't been to a NASCAR race.
No.
I would love to go to one.
Fine.
Personally, I'd love to go to one.
Me too. But what I'm saying is that it's just it's not a competition. Listen, Karamidaru. Listen, Chase Carey and brains bigger than ours have actually made the analysis, and they figured that the 2 people that would watch NASCAR versus if the Venn diagram is like this,
the Venn diagram intersection,
the intersection is so small. It does end up being that for the most part,
you and me, and maybe Mike if we invite him.
Well,
I'm like a separate circle outside the circle, floating in the corner.
Well, what they're saying is that
Mike,
listen,
come.
What they're saying is that they find it worthwhile of an investment because the NASCAR crowd is not the F1 crowd, even in the States, even in any country whatsoever.
Yeah.
Then above them, we're talking about, obviously what we're talking about is casual fans. Let's talk about it, because you, like you and me, and people like listen to this podcast. Most of us are probably like
hardcores. You guys are hardcores.
Pretty big fans, right?
Yeah.
Of the
Hardcores.
sport. But we can't. We have to realize that the hardcores only make up a small percentage of the entirety of the people that show up to the events and that watch the events. The people that are out there, like there's people that only they consider themselves Formula One fans, but all they watch live is the Monaco Grand Prix. That's it.
Monaco, yeah, maybe their own country's race.
Yeah, and then the rest of them just read the headlines, right?
Yeah.
That's all.
Highlights.
And that's okay. That's how sports work. There's some people that,
like, you're a big hockey fan. You don't watch every game, right?
I did.
This year?
I watched almost every game. I think
I watched all the hockey.
I think I missed 3 games this year.
What?
Yeah, I watched all of them.
Okay. Yeah, okay, well, fine. So you're hardcore there.
I'm hardcore.
There you go.
I'm hardcore.
Hardcore fan. There you go.
But there's also way more hockey games than there are Formula One races.
A lot more.
Yeah, that's why it's crazy. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, that doesn't make sense. But like, it doesn't really matter. Like from like week to week, because like there's
and the
a race
time
every 2
difference is unpredictable when it's gonna land on your time zone. Listen, there's all kinds of understandable things. What we have to like realize is that if you want to be inclusive to even the most casual of fans, you have to cast a really wide net.
Yeah.
And that's what Liberty's doing, and they're doing it like so far. I agree with their strategy, and if they want to push forward with this U.S. Grand Prix and Weehawken or whatever, all their other initiatives, they seem to have a grasp on like just that, like getting the most amount of people, getting the most interest in F1, and this is the way forward. 100%, I agree.
Oh
with
yeah.
that. Yeah,
man.
I agree with that.
Imagine how many of Lewis Hamilton's friends will come to a New York race.
and none of the people there, or none of them would actually even be bothered about it competing with NASCAR. They wouldn't be.
No,
of
course not.
Yeah, of course not. Can we? Okay, so we
Same as no one's really bothered about Alonso. This pretentious asshole is trying to win our race.
Yeah,
or whatever.
that's sort of what I wanted to like sort of end on. So one thing that we hadn't talked about, and like we only have like a couple minutes now, because we know we're at a studio, we have to keep to schedules.
Yeah, there's schedules. You just can't get drunk in my house anymore.
Yeah. we still got we got to do an episode or two like back at your place.
Oh, goddamn right.
Yeah.
I have a whole room dedicated to it. It's where my cats sleep.
So so predictions for this Russian Grand Prix, and let's start talking about the Indy 500. I think that. Okay, no. How do I phrase this? I want Alonso to win the Indy 500, but I don't think that he will. But he might, because he's Alonso.
On his first shot, that's a big.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, Vettel's gonna win the Russian Grand Prix.
Woo. According to the betting,
I'm gonna go with Lewis Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
According to these betting odds, Vettel's the favorite, so I'd have to put my money on Hamilton.
Okay.
When do you ever see a broke bookie? You don't. Never. Bookies. You don't. You just don't.
What do we do if like what do we do to like make this spicy and interesting?
Oh shit.
Oh, whatever. We'll think about it later.
Well, yeah, we'll think about it later.
You want to put some cash on?
No. How about like chugging a beer live or something? What about? Okay,
I'm too full this morning.
What about the 500? How do you think Alonso is gonna fare?
I think he can pull off a top 10. I really hope he can. He's on one of the big teams. I really don't know.
Yeah. We'll
see. A lot of people are giving him shit too. He's skipping like the rookies
orientation
meeting,
or whatever. Yeah,
the orientation meeting. I don't know how much time he's gonna, if any, he's gonna get in a simulator of that car. He's never driven it. He said yesterday or this morning that he hopes on Wednesday he might be able to test the car and see how difficult it really is. That was his quote. I want to hopefully drive it on Wednesday and see how difficult it is. He has no idea. I think it's gonna be more of a raw feeling. Like there's all kinds of even though you can't have, there's no traction control, there's no stability control in F1, but there's electronics that kind of performs some of those functions in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
That the Indy cars don't.
They don't have it's all manual on the Indy car. And I like
we gotta like pack up.
Yeah. Let's back up and leave. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you
Sunday
after the race.
4 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Somewhere around.
About
Somewhere
4 p.m. Eastern time Sunday afternoon.
So right around this time.
Yeah. Around this time we'll be starting. 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it will be live and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
See you guys.
Right here.
See ya.
Oh.
Woo! I gotta. Holy shit. Mm-hmm.